Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, happy Tuesday. I'm back outside. It's beautiful. I'm in the shade. There are no bugs.
I heard the birds.
Because the chair was wet, but you got to do what you got to do.
There were some birds, though, right?
There are some birds. Yes, there are some birds.
Nice. Well, good morning to you as well. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
And good morning to everyone else. Thanks so much for joining us today for today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we try to provide that one thing to help you figure out how to move forward and find your next step on your own unique pathway to success. Easy for me to say. And we'll have a topic around it. Oh my gosh. We'll have a discussion. We might have to hit restart. Have a discussion around a topic. And we hope that you will chime in if you have thoughts about that if you're watching it live. If not, please feel free to share some thoughts via Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever else you may see this if you're listening to the podcast. And at the end, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our antidote that you might use today or you might not use for the future. And we love it when others share their one thing as well, because we know that anytime someone adds value, someone else will benefit from it. So a little bit briefly introduction. Now, Bob, as we know, the first thing we do is celebrate. What are we celebrating today?
It's a big one. It's National Waffle Day. National Waffle Day. Yeah.
Now I can get into that one. I like that.
See? That's pretty solid.
I do have a love-hate relationship with waffles for some reason.
What's the hate part?
Well, usually waffles go with a lot of butter and a lot of syrup. And
indeed,
it's yeast. So, when I try to think about what am I eating, there's a lot of that dives me towards eggs rather than towards a waffle. Although there is nothing like a crisp waffle that then has let the syrup and butter soak in. This is a good day. I may have to find a Waffle House.
There is a Waffle House in my future today since it's National Waffle Day.
Have you ever tried waffles and chicken?
Yes, I have. It's pretty good.
I was surprised the first time I had it. It's filling. There's a lot to it, typically.
Oh yeah. That's a meal.
Yes, there is no doubt that it is a meal. So Waffle Day. I like that. Interesting. That's a hard one to turn into what our topic is, but I'm going to see if I can try to make some magic here.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to bow my head and wait for it.
It's a little bit more personal. It's about like when I feel like I have to say no to waffles. There's a part of me, like I think some of our customers and clients who say no to us, who really wish they could say yes. And they want to say yes for one reason or another. They just aren't able to. And there's a lot of reasons that can go into that. And I think it actually is a great conversation. When I turn down waffles for something that I think is healthier, there's a part of me that says, I wish I could have made a different choice, or I could have made a different choice. And I think that's the same with our customers and clients. A lot of times they see the value. They are just sometimes unafraid. They're not confident. They're not sure that this is the solution to their problem. Or a lot of times I think they feel like they can do it on their own. And they don't need our product or services, or as we discussed yesterday or the day before, that it's too expensive. They don't have the time. All these other things. And I think one of the things about that is, while that may be partially true, I think there are other meanings to what it means when they say no. And I think that just because they say it's about time, money, whatever, it might also be about something else. So what are your thoughts about when people say no? What it doesn't mean?
You captured what I think often happens, but I think what it doesn't mean is that you as a person are no good. And I was talking to someone yesterday about this type of situation, and we were talking about asking for business. And the person said that they had a fear, and they couldn't put their finger on it. I said, well, my fear has always been, if I ask someone, do you want to do business with me, and they say no, I take it very personally. And it has nothing to do with Bob the person, because Bob the business owner is completely different than Bob the person. There are similarities in the two, but the fact that you don't want to do business with me doesn't mean I'm not a good person, doesn't mean my business idea was flawed, doesn't mean that I should have never done this in a million years. What was I thinking to think I could be a renegade, Tom? What was, this person tells me no, I'm clearly not a renegade. It's over. Pack your bags. I need to find a full-time job today, now, this minute. I'm on Indeed. See you, Tom.
Yeah,
and that's the thought process that I go through. And I don't think I'm alone. And I've got to arrest that thought process. I've got to say, as that starts, as I go down that cliff, I have to say, whoa, time out. Time out. What about all the people who have said yes to me? What about all the people who have said, yeah, this is really great. I love your idea. I love what you're doing. It's not the right time for me, but come back in a month or two. So I think we have to control what's going on when no comes to us. We have to be the ones to say what it doesn't mean. And it doesn't mean your business idea is completely flawed. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have started a business. It doesn't mean you should have been a leader of a team when a team member says, I don't want to do that for you. That doesn't mean you're a failure as a boss. It doesn't mean that you'll never be able to get people to do what you need them to do. But those are things that our mind wants to go to, because that's a whole lot easier than thinking through and finding out the answer to the question. Because that's where the beauty in that is, if the person says no to you and you say, okay, I understand. I'm sorry, I really don't. Help me understand why you said no. Well, it costs too much, or this. And they give you a concrete thing. That's something you can work on. What I find is most people who get that no immediately start to sulk, or worse than that, try to defend themselves. Well, you're never going to find anyone else who does what I do. You're never going to find it for a better price. You're never going to. And the minute you say that to the person, not only have you gotten a no, but you've reinforced that no. You took that no and put 18 exclamation marks after it. No, versus not now. And we've all done it. I've done it. I don't know if you've done it, but I think most of us have. It's like, really? Come on. Because we see it in a different way than they do.
Well, I think what I like about your point is it's not about they don't want to do, although it could be. So there are some people you just don't want to do business with, and that's okay. I think but it is not necessarily about us. It's about them. And it's about, they're just not ready. There's a million reasons for why they may say no. And we will never know that unless we try to discover it and figure it out. I think that there's a lot of ways to ask, the follow-up question, to try to better understand what it is. And I think to do it in a way that gives you the opportunity to, truly understand, why did they say no? What is it about some piece of, and I don't even think it's about our business that's the issue. Now, it could be. I think it's more about them and putting them in a place. So many times when I have said no to buying something, clothes, a toy, a vacation, whatever, it's more about me.
Tom, do tell us, what toys do you buy? Matchbox cars?
Well, I look at toys like a car, golf club.
Okay. You just said, my thought was to like kids stuff, like you and your Hot Wheels.
Yeah, no. More toys that we use for entertainment. Let's put it that way.
Adult toys. No, wait, that's different. Sorry. Never mind. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's funny because if you listened, if you heard, I slipped with that as well. That's not what we're talking about. Who knows? Maybe it is. Everybody has their own choices to make. And I think that it's really about discovering for yourself, why is it? And sometimes as the as us, the one with the business or with the product or the service or the leader, has to better understand why you're getting a no. It's interesting. I had an employee once who sometimes we had things going on that somebody needed to fill in for. And I had this one employee who, if it was after like 5 o'clock, they couldn't on a dime say, "Oh, somebody's sick, I need to go fill that in." And because they would, and I was like, "All right, fine. If you can't do it, you can't do it. I understand that." And what I came to find out was that they had 2 dogs at home. And so they couldn't just in the morning be like, "Oh yeah, I can stay until 8 o'clock," because their 2 dogs needed to go out. Now, if they had plenty of notice, they could figure it out. And once I understood that, it was easier to not only work with them and understand, what is the best approach to them when this has happened. Now, obviously, if you're in an emergency, it's a different thing, but it also was the opportunity to say, "Hey, I know we have this big event tonight, and I know that someone hasn't been feeling well. Could you possibly be prepared to stay if something happens?" And do that 2 or 3 days in advance, which would give them a chance to get their situation in order. And I think so much of it is that we don't understand all that is going on within our clients or within our potential clients or customers or team. And until we start to better understand that, it's hard for us to really know why they might be either saying no or just struggling. And I think, that's a part of it. I think, as I said, when I make those decisions, all the things go into my head. I'm the worst with like clothes, especially like business clothes. I'll go and be like, "I should buy a suit." Then I walk in the store and I look at it and I say, "Geez, you know what? It's a lot of money. I don't know that I need it." And I walk away. And then I come back, and I think about it more, and I come back and I'm like, "I need to really think about this." And, so what the store person might be like, "Oh, darn, what are we not doing right to help this person buy? Why does this guy keep showing up in the store multiple times looking at the exact same thing before making a decision?" And so I think that, we have to start thinking about not what does it say about us, but how do we get our clients, our potential clients, more comfortable with what they're trying to do, and it doesn't necessarily mean they don't want to do business with us. It could. What it might mean is that there is something holding them back from making that ultimate decision. And I think if we can start to focus on what that might be, and it's not about us, not that they don't want to do business with us, it's that they aren't confident enough to make that decision. And I think that's exactly one of the things, when people consider whether they're a renegade, I think it's easy for them to say no, because there's something in their mindset that's holding them back from being confident that this is the right thing. That, when I think of a renegade, it's somebody who's not following the status quo. So if I'm step out and do something different than everyone else, how is that going to be perceived? And what if it doesn't work? And what if they're all telling me that this is a mistake? Man, there are all these people saying that I shouldn't do it. Maybe I'll turn and say no. And so I think that, it's something that gives us an opportunity to reflect on, why do we say no when it comes to things? And as we consider that might better help us understand our customers or clients and why they may say no to us.
I like all that, Tom. So it makes perfect sense. What's your one thing then?
My one thing about when they say no and what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean, and this is not necessarily, I'm going to go back to, it doesn't mean they don't want to work with us. I think it means they haven't solved whatever the challenge is in their mind to finally make a decision to move forward. Just because they obviously have an interest. They've came and spoke to you. They've at least, you took your call if you followed up, came up to you at a networking event, called you back. So they expressed some interest. So something in the back of their head is saying, yeah, this might be really good for me. And if they did that, then it's not about you and it's not about doing business with you personally. It's about them figuring out what is it that's holding them back. what is it that's making them say no to themselves as much, if not more, than they're saying no to us? And I think we, as the leader, business owner, entrepreneur, think it's about us. More times than not, I believe it's about them figuring out why are they saying no to themselves.
I couldn't agree with you more, Tom. You said it beautifully. That was exactly what I was going to say, that it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with them. And if we can divorce ourselves from the idea that it means that we're flawed or we did something wrong, it opens the door to possibly discovering, one, what they're struggling with, and two, you can actually help them through it.
Absolutely. And I think we'll talk more about this week, but I think there's a lot of what they say is the reason they're saying no. That isn't necessarily always the reason for why they're saying.
Foreshadowing for later in the week.
Maybe a little. I don't know. Sometimes it's good to do that. They do that in shows and movies. And
yeah. You want to wrap this puppy up, Tom?
I'm happy to wrap this up. Thanks so much for listening to us today. If you're listening to our podcast, we appreciate that. You can catch it on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. And if you do there, we would love if you would follow us and subscribe to each of those services so that
rate us. We want them to rate us. We want that 5-star review. That helps other people see the value.
Can you do that on both platforms?
You can.
Excellent. So please, we would love to have you rate us so that others, because we know that one of our big goals is not only to share our message, but that others will hear it because we know that it might add value. So please feel free, if you are listening to this podcast, to do that. Share it with a friend as well, because there might be somebody out there who you are thinking they might say no, and when in reality they could desperately use just something new, a new voice, a new thought process to help them figure out how to say yes to themselves and become the renegade that they know they are. If you are watching us live and you have one thing you'd like to share live on Facebook, please feel free to put it in the comments. Share your antidote because it will likely add value to someone else. And if you are not yet a member of our Ring of Renegades, you can do that. If you are a member of the Ring of Renegades, go in and post what your one thing is today. What's today's antidote for you around when they say no, what it doesn't mean. Because I think so often we think about what we think it means. And if you're not a member of the Ring of Renegades, you can join it. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and ask to join. It is a private group, so we ask you to ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of our growing community, helping each other take our next steps along our own unique pathway to success. And so with that, thanks so much for being a part of our show today. If we don't see you inside the Ring of Renegades or on Twitter, LinkedIn, or all the other platforms where we are connecting and engaging with people, we will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. What happened, Tom? Having some trouble there?
But now I can't find it. Darn it.
What's wrong?
I created a new closing and now I can't find it.
Do you want me to pad for a couple of minutes while you find it, or we'll just tease it for tomorrow?
We'll tease it for tomorrow. You just have to stay tuned and learn more.
Okay.
So instead, I'll tell you a little bit about the Renegade Success Network, because this podcast and all that we do are powered by the Renegade Success Network. And so if you want to learn more about what we're doing, just go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. And here's some further information. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders.
monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.